I thought I'd raise the stakes for this one time, 10x from the CGWC to a 500 1000 game a couple months after, so recently. And two very notable names, Linus Love. I think has a range check on this board, given that Limitless has all these sets and a condensed range. Limitless probably checks this back a bunch, but can bet a lot with his range, so probably also bets that combo. Linus can check or bet this, I think. Limitless is mostly gonna call, can raise at a decently low frequency, I think. Linus probably has to call this, yeah. Really thinks the river. Limitless does have the value bet. And of course Linus is gonna shove and Limitless goes deep in the tank, which we're of course speeding up, but he goes pretty deep in the tank, as you can see. Probably has to call because of the ace of hearts, because if Linus has the ace 4 suited in his range a lot, like the value shoving range, yeah, the ace of hearts is a huge blocker, so I think he may just have to call that off. So let's check it out in the solver. So I went with this 7 max chip EV ante solution. They changed the tables to 6 max, but I think this is the closest solution I can find. You see that Limitless doesn't really call the ace 10 off. So I just added this to his range. Let's go to post flop. Linus indeed has that range check pretty much that I suspected he would have. Limitless does have, you know, all the sets and whatnot, and so has a huge range advantage, not advantage. Yeah, I guess we call it both a range advantage and a not advantage. And even though ace 10 is that sort of ace high that you would suspect is checking back, for this sizing at least he's actually betting that quite a lot. Perhaps, yeah, he's already folding out, for this sizing at least, some better aces, which is true. Folding out some ace jack. Has pretty good blockers, blocking both backdoor flush draws, so that actually, that combo is betting a lot actually, but he checks. Solver is betting close to the sizing Linus took. Linus really goes with that 72% a lot. Solver goes with a huge polarizing raise. So we will have to change that. Yeah, maybe he will have 2 raise sizes, who knows, but we're just gonna assume 1 raise size, much smaller than the solver would suggest. And ace 10, yeah, actually it's raising quite, I thought it would call more often, but his combo is raising most of the time for that sizing. Also, let's take a look at Linus. Yeah, 50-50, okay. Okay, wow. Didn't expect Linus would want to fold his combo, so he did call and got really lucky on the river hitting a 2-outer. He should actually fold that hand to the raise. Right, especially if Wiktor has ace 10 a lot, or the pocket 10s, you know, he's pretty much drawing dead with the ace 4 almost, isn't he? So it seems that he made sort of a mistake calling that, so let's node lock that and give him 25% for that combo. Interestingly, the solver chooses to donk in Linus' shoes, right? He should have all these overpairs, and I guess that are, yeah, counterfeiting the 9-10, and ace 10 is gonna check back. So he would want to donk a bunch because he probably has too many overpairs that those hands, like the ace 10 and the 10-9, will fear and check back. So Linus with his overpairs, we can see the light blue line is sort of has a range advantage, while Wiktor has the not advantage. So this sort of range advantage, these overpairs and whatnot, really makes the solver bet for relatively small sizing, donk bet for that small sizing, because of all these overpairs that Linus is just calling the turn raise with. And the ace 4 actually wants to come along with that. So we're going to assume that Linus is, yeah, good enough to have donks in his range. Right, and then it allows the missed draws like the 6-5 and the queen jack to also bluff 23.4, change that to 20.82, that's Wiktor bet. And yeah, because Wiktor is gonna have a bunch of nuttish hands like these top sets, all these sets, the shove is definitely going to be in his strategy. We see interestingly that he made an error, GTO error at least, value betting an ace-10. You know, I am not a solver myself, right? And I don't never want to judge, but of course I make all these videos and I see a lot of GTO errors in these players at the highest stakes in these heads-up matches and everything. And I don't know if there are going to be deviations, but I am seeing way more of these than I would expect. And anyway, so yeah, he should check back the ace-10, especially if Linus is not going to have donks, right? So as played, crazily enough, the ace-4 seems to be close. Right, as a sliver of call, but it's probably just gonna pure shove, right? And so yeah, let's take a look at Wiktor's response. Okay, it's probably not gonna be in there because he's checking back all ace-10s, right? Correct. So we need to note lock that. So let me just do, yeah, that 25% again, give that to his specific combo. And so Wiktor with the ace of hearts. Okay, the ace of hearts apparently is not. Wow. Okay, look, I don't know how accurate this solve is. It's a little bit of a weird solve. Kind of a lot of, yeah, I don't know why I would call it a weird solve, because of, you know, I changed the raise size and I node locked a bunch of stuff. So maybe that's why it could be a weird solve, but yeah, I mean, yeah, and also because of Linus shoot donk and we don't know if he has donks. So it's a little bit of an odd solve, but yeah, this solve tells that, you know, and I really appreciate Wiktor, and I like that guy, so I'm not gonna say anything bad, because I understand, like the ace of hearts, like if I was in a situation I might also think, yeah, what is he gonna have? Is he gonna shove all his overpairs? How many overpairs is he going to have? You know, it's Linus, he makes weird bluffs. Ace-4, it might be part of his range. Yeah, I mean, I understand the logic. And maybe Linus is over bluffing, but anyway, I guess all that's left to do is checking if, you know, if Linus doesn't have donks, because it's a weird solve, because Linus is supposed to donk his ace-4 a lot. And of course I node lock this in, right? He should actually fold the turn, so that's why it's a weird solve to which I made a lot of adjustments, and it's not completely the way like an AI would play or something. It's like a human situation to which I adjusted this to the AI, so that makes it a little bit of a weird solve, I guess. But let's take a look at Linus's EV in this river spot where he has donks. That's 13.5. I'm gonna take out his donk, his donking ability, and yeah, it does go down significantly to 13.15. But if he does not have donks, yeah, then it already says selected line is inaccurate. But if he has not donks, if he doesn't have donks, the small value bet that Wiktor made becomes even worse, because Linus' range of course will be stronger. Then the solve becomes even weirder. So I mean, I made this video way too long because it's just an odd situation. If we don't lock Wiktor to bet, then yeah, Linus is shoving. He will be shoving it most of the time, and then only then we see a sliver of call. So it's just, yeah, I mean, all in all, I see we've seen a lot of actions that both players took, which are both world-class players that probably me and all of my audience will not be able to beat heads up. It's just yeah, maybe there's a few killers watching. I hope so. But anyway, like world-class players, and we see a lot. We've seen a lot of things that are pretty far off. So that's all I can say about this one, because this was kind of a weird one. but I hope you still like the video, and thank you for watching.